at this thing. All right. So today we're going to be doing tomahawk steaks. These are prime ribeye tomahawks, about 3 pounds a piece, just a little bit over 3 pounds a piece. This one's about 3 1/3, and this one's right at 3 pounds. So these are awesome cuts. You can see it has that fantastic marbled fat in there. Really great. And of course, the only thing different from a ribeye, from these tomahawk ribeyes, is these are cut about 2 inches thick. So they're a nice big piece of meat, and they still of course have that rib bone still on there. They keep that just for presentation purposes. It looks cool. It gives it the name tomahawk. I've let these sit out for about 30-35 minutes now, just to take some of the chill off from the refrigerator. Now that I'm seeing some of this purge come out of here, I think it's time to start adding some rub on here. So we're going to add the seasonings. Today I'm going with this Crawford Season All. Really nice flavors, just kind of a salt, pepper, garlic, onion type of thing going on here. And I'm going to apply it to all sides. It can take a nice amount of seasoning on here. This is a huge piece of meat. I'm going to add it to all sides. Smells good. Now I'm going to be doing this one separately, like I like to do. Always one with something I know, and then one with something I'm trying new. So I'm going to be using this Crawford's beef burnt ends, or whatever it's called. What's called burnt beef rub. And this one adds some texture on there. Just a really nice seasoning. Really nice seasoning. So we're going to be doing these tomahawk ribeyes 2 different ways today. One, we're going to do the sear method. But first, we're going to do what's called a reverse sear. That's where we're going to be smoking one. I think it's going to be this one here that I'm putting the Crawfords on. We're going to smoke this one on the Kamado, and then we're going to sear it off after it comes up to temp on the PK360. So that's enough for that one for now. I got this new seasoning called Trail Dust from Cattleman's Grill, and it looks really great. Looks like a really nice seasoning. Smells good. It's got all kinds of good stuff in there. A whole bunch of herbs, mustard seed, and things like that. You know what? I'm gonna add a little season all on there first from Crawford's, just to give it that base. And this might seem like a lot of seasoning, but this is a big piece of meat. It can take it. Now I'm going to add this Trail Dust, Cattleman's Grill Trail Dust. Let's see how this looks. Wow. We got some minced garlic in there, all kinds of herbs. I see that mustard seed popping out. That looks cool. So really the only thing that's going to be different about these two is just that burnt beef rub versus the Cattleman's on the second seasoning. All right, looking good. So this one that has just the Cattleman's is the one that I'm going to be smoking first and then doing a reverse sear on. Then once I'm just about done smoking it, when it comes up to about 120 degrees, I'm going to be getting that PK360 fired up, and I'm going to do a sear on this one and then leave it off the heat to bring the internals up to temp. I want to see what it does to the inside of the steak and what the difference is. So, all right, let's let this rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to throw it out on the grill. So here we are. We got our first tomahawk nice and rested, started to sweat out a little bit. We're going to be putting it here on the Kamado to smoke. Just going to lay it right there. And I'm going to let that go for a little while. We're going to bring it up to temp. You can always turn this in the middle of it at about 80 degrees, but really you can leave it just like that until it reaches an internal temp of about 120. I've got a little pecan wood on here. I've got the billows running, keeping it at about 235 to 240, right in that range. You can cook it a little bit slower, but You can see here I have the signals. I have the ThermoWorks signals, which is a 4-channel thermometer meant for smoking and barbecuing and things of that nature. I have that set. It's running the billows fan, so it's keeping the Kamado at a steady temperature. And I'm also going to be probing these tomahawk steaks right in the middle of that tenderloin part of the steak so that I can really monitor the temperature. You don't want to bring these up too high or else they're going to get a little tough on the inside. So I'm going to be cooking these to medium rare. I want a nice pink center all the way through. Now the reason that I'm smoking this one and doing a reverse sear is when you reverse sear it, you get that pink from top to bottom. When you sear it, you tend to see a little bit more gray at the ends. And I think we're going to see that once we go ahead and fire up the PK360 and do one of these seared and one of them not. So let's let this go for a little while, and then we're going to come back out when it reaches 120 degrees, and we're going to put it onto the PK to sear it up. Okay, so right now I'm going to be inserting the probe. You can see right here is where we want it. This center loin, I'm going to put it through this fat part, and I want it right in the center of this loin here. So I'm going to take this right in the middle, push it right in to right about there. All right, that should give me a good reading. Let's get this closed. Okay, we'll be out in about 40 minutes. All right, so now we're going to be doing the sear. This is the traditional sear method where I'm going to be searing it on this hot side. I have all this lump charcoal on the right side. On this left side, there's nothing underneath here. So I'm also going to be putting a rack here to raise it up when I transfer over to finish off the steak. But first, we're going to get a nice crosshatch pattern on this steak. Okay, I'm going to put that in there for about 2 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 2.5 minutes. This is a really big piece of steak. It can take it, so I let it go a little bit longer. I'm going to do another 2.5 minutes on the other side. When I say the other side, what I mean is I'm going to rotate it. Just like that. Get a nice cross pattern on there. Okay. So we've got that 2.5 minutes on each side. Now we're going to be flipping this sucker. Take a look at these cross hatches. Ah, yeah, that's nice. That looks really nice. Okay, another 2 to 2.5 minutes. Okay, so had a little run-in with the puppy, so I'm not sure if we got that. But what I did was I flipped the steak again. Not flipped it, excuse me. I rotated the steak again, and I brought it over here to the cooler side. See, this is much cooler than over here. This is roasting hot. This is maybe 500-600 degrees. This side over here, not as much. So we're going to start using this radiant heat to draw over the steak and finish it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off here and this off here, and we're going to get a cross of the heat going from down in the bottom vent here coming up through the top vent. You can see all that smoke coming here. And we're going to finish it off. We're going to bring it up to about 127 degrees. I want that medium rare, and that's between 130 and 135 degrees. So that's where we're going to be pulling this steak off. Then we're going to add some compound butter and be done with it. Alright, so we decided we'd be a little bit safer if we raised it up a little bit. I didn't want to get any more char on this. I don't want the bone to burn. So I decided to bring this tray in. We're going to raise it up just a bit. There we go. Okay, we'll be monitoring those temperatures with the probe. We have our first steak that we put on, and we're smoking up to 120 degrees. We're going to take this off, take the probe out of there, and we are going to let that rest for a little bit before we sear it. Now something I do want to do is transfer, I'm going to move this here, we're going to transfer this steak over to that grill to finish off. Boom. Okay, we're going to give this steak its sear. This is back up to piping hot. Before these coals start to kick off, we're going to put a nice sear on this reverse seared steak. You can see how beautiful that is. Nice and done, not too done on the bottom side. Let's go ahead and get a good sear on here. Now this, we're only going to do for about a minute. And this thing is piping hot, about 500 degrees. Now let's give this thing a twist. Give it a nice push. Leave it in there for another minute or so. Okay, let's take a look at it now. Start to sear the other side. Nice. Perfect. Matter of fact, let's take a internal reading. Yeah, 124. Okay, good stuff. We want to take this right at about 130. Alrighty, we're going to give this guy a twist now. Of course. Turn that off. Alright, let's give it a little twist. And one more temp reading. Ooh, 130. Let's take it off. I don't want to go any higher than that. That's perfect. Okay. We're going to let that rest for a little bit, and we can close this sucker down. The PK has done its job tonight. These get really hot. The reverse sear steak is done. That one is resting and ready to be eaten. We're just waiting for the seared steak to come up to temp now. We're at about 129. I don't feel like waiting anymore. This steak is done by my standards. It'll rise up. The carryover should bring it up around 134 or so. I'm taking this baby off of here and letting that rest. I'm going to go put the butter on it inside. Let me close this down. Okay, let's go inside. All right, so now we're just going to be making a little compound butter. What we've put into this bowl is a mixture of lemon zest, some parsley, some thyme, rosemary, some garlic, and I believe that's about it. I've got some softened butter here, and I'm going to be adding to taste and checking the mixture. So this is just some softened butter. And this is going to go on top of the steaks when we're done. Just a really nice mixture. This is 8 ounces of butter and about 2 tablespoons of each of those herbs. And then the garlic was about 5 cloves in there, and then the zest of about a half lemon. You know what? I'm thinking just add it all in and see what happens. Now this is a really great mixture. You can make a whole bunch of this, and you can put it into saran wrap, and you can roll it up into a log and cut pieces off. But since we're making these giant steaks tonight, I'm gonna leave it in this bowl and just take a nice wad of it and put it on top, and then I'll save the rest once we're done. All right, let's mix it nice. Okay, I'm gonna go check on those steaks. Okay, so we got these 2 giant tomahawks off of the grill. Now this one here is the one that we seared. We haven't added butter to this yet, but I'm gonna add a nice dollop of butter right here up top. And let that soak in. I know that it seems like a lot, but this is a huge hunk of meat. Now, as you can see, we already added it to this one, and you have all these delicious herbs there. When we go to slice this, it's going to be absolutely delicious. I'm just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes or so and come back and slice into these and see how they taste. This was a fairly challenging cook. We have our seared ribeye that we brought up to temp, and then we have our reverse seared ribeye. And these are looking awesome. Both of them look incredible. I think I'm actually going to cut up the reverse sear first. So what I'm going to do is just take it right off the bone. You can see all that butter and all those delicious herbs just melted right on there. Okay, nice. I'm actually going to bring this one around so you can see what that looks like. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay. So what I'd like to do is cut it directly across here. And this one directly across here. And here's the moment of truth. Look at that. Gorgeous. That is a perfect, perfect medium rare. So much juice. Yeah, they both look incredible. A little bit more gray around the sides of the one that we seared first. A little bit more gray in here. But honestly, both of these look amazing. I'm going to slice these up and give them a try. And just take a piece right out of the middle here. So tender, so juicy, flavorful, incredible. This one has a nice smoked taste to it. It's got a little pecan in there, not overly smoked. Absolutely awesome. Let's try the seared one now. Oh, look at that. I want to say that one's a little bit tougher. The one that was reverse seared is just a little bit more tender. The one that we seared first, it's got sort of that bite through, the gritty bite through. Still amazing. The taste is amazing. But I'm going to do these reverse seared from now on. The reverse seared steak is just unbelievably tender and juicy and delicious. Like you can't ask for a better steak than that. It's absolutely amazing. Look at that. Just incredible. Yeah, apologies if I had a lack of energy in this video. I threw out my back about a week ago, so I'm dealing with that. But otherwise, I'm excited to cut these up and get dinner served. We're gonna go eat this right now. So give this recipe a try. Definitely make that compound butter. That really sets it over the top. That's just incredible. It's kind of almost like a chimichurri on top, but buttery. So it's a little bit more, it just soaks into the steak. So definitely give this a try. This is awesome. Incredible. So good. I love it. Are you happy with it? Yeah, I love it. All right, so we're gonna cut this up and we're gonna serve it and try this out on your own.